In today's video, we're going to talk about why kids should play Rise of Kingdoms. And yes, I did say kids because playing Rise of Kingdoms, you can actually develop many skills. So if you're a parent, you may need to give them a good supervision while playing Rise of Kingdoms, but kids will have a lot of opportunity to gain valuable skills by playing Rise of Kingdoms. And you know what? It's not just Rise of Kingdoms. There's many games out there that can help develop a kid as well. Now, you might say, I ain't doing that. I grew up playing outside. I'm not going to just let my kid get stuck at home and play video games all day. But there are video games that are actually helpful for your kid's skill. I mean, let me tell you guys a little bit of background about myself first. When I first came to America, I was 15 years old. And basically, I left, my country, my school, everything. And when I was in high school, I found this game called Soldier Front, and I was able to play that game. It's a shooter game. So that allowed me to enhance the way I talk and practice my English through players that I met online. Back then, there was no Discord. I was using this thing called I forgot what it's called, like GC something, or so other people were like using TeamSpeak. If you're old enough to know what TeamSpeak is, you probably know that era of gaming. All right, there's no Discord. It's not as easy how it is now. All right, so there's a few things that you can really learn from playing games. Now, every game has their own different skill set that you can learn. Honestly, in other games, there's now this thing called esports where players compete. People make careers out of playing games. So if you're one of those parents that are so against video games, well, this might change your mind about it, all right? First thing that we're going to talk about here, the benefit of playing a game, and even in Rise of Kingdoms in here. So the speed of response time, and what does that mean, all right? This means is that players or kids that are playing the game, and you know what, not just kids, young adults or even elderly, it helps you to improve your troubleshooting skills by playing this game. There's many problems in this game, and sometimes it leads into civil war. And quick problem solving helps a lot in this game. And it teaches you a little bit like how people are and what to do and what not to do. Because if you do the bad thing, you pretty much get annihilated from the game. So there's many problems within Rise of Kingdoms that each player requires to solve. I mean, not just the interpersonal stuff, but as well as some of the events. Players need to understand how to play each event so that they can maximize and get the most benefit out of the events. So that's one of the biggest thing I would say, when playing a video game. It's not just for fun, it's not just casual, but it's also some skills involved and learning process and development as a person. Number 2 here is that this game encourages teamwork. So in this game, there is a whole kingdom. When here in this kingdom, you can't just work by yourself. I mean, if you want to be a loner, then you're really not going to enjoy the game and you're not going to progress. So teamwork is absolutely essential. Regardless of whatever rules the kingdom decide to do, you have to kind of work with many players and not just within your alliance or not just within your kingdom. Eventually, there is this thing called kingdom versus kingdom where your leadership involves teamwork that will work with other teams. Multiplayer games boost teamwork in problem solving. So like I mentioned, you're going to meet other players. Diplomacy is a key factor. Your kid is going to get into Discord, and yes, they are. And it's not always bad, right? For the majority of part, a lot of the players that play this game, Rise of Kingdoms, they want a safe environment, non-toxic. So there are definitely like matured kingdoms in there. But of course, there's always going to be trolls. But typically in a very established kingdom, they're very respectful, and your kid can definitely learn a thing or two on playing the game, and they could probably meet people that are very successful in this game as well, that they could learn and could enhance their future desires of what they want to be when they grow up. Not just becoming a gamer, but also finding a profession. You never know who you're going to be connected with when playing this game. There's really a lot of things that you can gain from playing a video game, and it's not just a leisure time. Number 3 here is, I'd say, creativity, focus, visual memory, and as well as memory itself. So let me tell you this real quick. When I first started playing this game, I have no idea what the heck I was doing. I did not know 90% of the commanders. I knew who Cao Cao is in the very beginning, but I did not know who my favorite commander is, Yi Song-ye. In Rise of Kingdoms, your kid, when they play this game, or maybe you're a young adult, you can read the history of each commander, and you get to learn a little bit more about it, and that expands your knowledge. Any knowledge is good, regardless if it's not something that you're going to use, because you never know if you'll end up using it one day. So you learn all these new commanders, and honestly, I've memorized all the commanders in Rise of Kingdoms, and I pretty much know who they are. So that's been pretty cool, right? I mean, I don't exactly know all the history, but you can dive down into it because Rise of Kingdoms offer historical backgrounds for Rise of Kingdoms commanders. Creativity is something that is really cool that I find in here. A little bit of creativity is you can see in the base. I'm not very creative. I've never been. But if you have a very creative kid, he could probably design the base in here with a lot more stuff than what I have right now. I guess what I have is some sort of creativity since it is more of a simple creativity in here that I have. So organization, you also learn that from Rise of Kingdoms if you want to, be organized in here. And focus, I would say focus is really good. You can either focus on getting into KVK and battling. You can, zone in on that one. Or you can focus on, setting yourself with goals in here on mining resources because you need to compete. You can focus on gathering speed ups and learning memory. Of course, you need to know all the events. It enhances your memory capacity playing video games. So there is really so many things that you can gain from playing a video game. Video game is not a bad thing. There's so much that you can learn. Number 4 is improving strategy and leadership. I have a funny thing to ask you guys in here. How many of you who played Rise of Kingdoms and then you end up knowing that your leader is actually much younger than you or a kid? It's not a bad thing, right? Sometimes they're younger than you, but they actually have the time to put in and grind. But here is something that, if a kid starts to play Rise of Kingdoms, they can learn the strategy within the game, and that can also be implemented in real life, and as well as being in the leadership role. You learn how to manage, you learn how to talk to your team, you learn how to encourage, you learn how to reinforce your teammate. So there's a lot of things that you can learn from this game. You will learn how to resolve disputes within players. You are going to learn how to interact with other players, whether if it's in chat, in mail, in Discord. You'll learn how to do all of this, within the process of the gaming in here, because these are also essential within the game. The game is not just about video game in here. The game is very interacted with socializing. And one of the biggest thing in here that I should say is the decision making. So, if you're in the leadership position, you make some of the hard choices. So as you play this game, you learn, right? You learn what choices you should make. You learn what choices that you shouldn't make. Decision making is a very big deal. And this thing kind of puts you in a mock run, a mock scenario, if it's ever in real life. So, playing Rise of Kingdoms have a lot of benefits for youngsters, or for young adults, for kids. These things that I've been talking in here are legit and it's true. And even me, I'm 30 years old and I'm still learning all of this. Number 5, I say the games are able to teach language. Me playing with other people, it does enhance my English skills and English capability. The way I speak, the way I type, the words that I learn. So in many cases, perhaps if it's in a different country, maybe there's an Indonesian group, there is a Vietnamese group, there's some French, there's Arabic. It teaches you how to interact within your community, learn and expand more of the language, and as well as whenever you join a kingdom like I was before, I was in the Arabic kingdom. I learned a few words in Arabic, but of course I didn't really learn completely because I wasn't so active in a Discord. But there's opportunity. If you really hang out with them, you want to learn, they're willing, they're very nice, it teaches you. Another thing that I would say within the language section here that we're talking about, the learning, is you also learn culture. I've learned a little bit of the culture of different, people from all over the world. I've met people from Europe. I've met people from, Saudi, the Arabic players that I met. I've met people from Wisconsin, which is Puddle Cakes. He loves cheese. I didn't even know. So, I learned a lot about things, and I learned about people too. That's one of the biggest things I love in this game is I learn about what people do in life. Like what Puddle Cakes do. He's a potato guy. He's a supervisor for a potato factory, and probably whatever you're eating. If you're eating potato chips, it probably went through Puddle Cakes' hand. Just think about Puddle Cakes whenever you eat a potato. If you guys don't know who Puddle Cakes is, he was my former teammate. He have left me all alone in here, shivering in cold. I'm just kidding. we still cool. We still talk. Number 6 I want to mention here is critical thinking. So this pretty much is the philosophical and social basis of the game, and their ability to make players think and improve critical thinking. So you're going to be thinking within the game. It allows you to evaluate an issue in order to form a judgment. Now, a lot of the times when I was in college, professors going to say, oh, it's all about, you got to do some critical thinkings and stuff. So, in Rise of Kingdoms, you do develop this because playing Rise of Kingdoms is like you are in a reality mode, right? Critical thinking involves like decision making, problem solving ability, researching. People in this game, like players and even the youngsters, they know more about this game than me sometimes. They do the research. They find out how to get things. They find out other kingdoms. They find all the social aspects as well within the game. It really polishes your creativity within this game. And, the biggest thing I would say, curiosity. We should always be embracing curiosity within the game. So these things that I've mentioned here today have really good impact to the future of our young gamers. And we should never tell our younger generation or kids to never play a game or discourage them from playing games, because we should encourage them to play games, because games now are very interactive, very intuitive. One of the biggest thing that I get asked a lot is like, hey, I have a kid and he loves watching games, and you're doing YouTube, you're streaming, what should I do? I would say, sometimes they even ask me like, my kid wants to do streaming. I always tell them, support your kid. Let them try it. Let them do it, because that boosts their, self-confidence, and that helps them to progress within the world. And I'm always a supporter for that. And I am very, very big advocate for kids playing games, and of course with a reasonable management from parents. If you play this game, I'd say a little bit of supervision from parents, maybe time limit. Make sure your grades are also good. Make sure you're passing. Make sure that you are still interacting in the outside world. If you are, in the grade school, high school, maybe college, get involved in team sports. That also helps you out with, social skills. I played track and field, and that helped me out a lot of things socially, and being able to adapt and assimilate with people. So those are some of the things that I want to share to you guys. Gaming is not bad. Gaming is good, but of course, if you're younger, a little supervision from the parents, and always listen to your parents. All right, kids. Anyway, Rocker, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys again next time.